Welcome to this Canadian Cancer Society webcast, Chemotherapy and Nutrition, trying to maintain your nutrition while undergoing chemotherapy. This webcast is generously supported by RBC. My name is Nicole De Silva. I'm a peer support specialist and the moderator of CancerConnection.ca, and I will be your host. In today's webcast, we'll be having a discussion with Lori Halton, who is a registered dietitian at the Odette Cancer Center at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center. Working with patients who have different types of cancer, Lori provides strategies to manage nutrition-related side effects from cancer treatments. She also educates patients about evidence-based nutritional goals and approaches throughout their journey. Welcome, Lori, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
In today's webcast, we'll be discussing and learning more about the benefits of healthy eating during chemo, how chemo may disrupt eating habits, tips for good nutrition before, during, and after chemo, supplements, and also about fighting infection and illness. Now, before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping items for our audience. Throughout the presentation, we'll be pausing to accept your questions. Please submit your questions at any time using the Q&A widget, which you will see at the bottom of your screen. They'll be sent to me, and I will aspire to get you answers from Lori. From time to time, we'll also be referencing some useful resources or links to websites that inform our discussion. Click on the resource widget at the bottom of your screen to get access to these resources. If you have any issues with the technology, click on the Help widget, which is the question mark. Now, with that all out of the way, let's get started. To begin with, we'd like to get a sense of who is all on the webcast today and start with a poll. Please select the most accurate response from the options listed below. Are you a patient, a caregiver, a healthcare professional, or other? Take a moment just to look over those answers and select the most appropriate one for yourself. Okay, so we do see a few answers coming in here then. Let's take a look at who we all have on the webcast today. So it looks like the majority, with over 52% of our viewers today, are patients. A mixture of healthcare professionals as well and others. So that's great. We know a little bit about who is on the call, and it looks like the majority is patients. So now that we know who is all here, I'd like to ask all of our viewers another poll question. Are you currently experiencing difficulties managing your nutrition while undergoing chemo? As you'll see, there are a few different options to select here. Yes, I am experiencing difficulties with my nutrition. I am no longer in chemo, but continue to struggle with nutrition. No, I'm not experiencing difficulties, or not applicable to me. So again, just select the best answer to you, and then we'll be able to see, again, if everyone's results. Okay, so we'll give a few more moments and take a look and see which ones best suits you, and then just click on Submit to put your answer forward. Okay, so let's take a look at these results. It looks like there are quite a few people who are saying that it's not applicable to them undergoing chemo and having difficulties managing their nutrition. Some people are experiencing difficulties, and a few people also noted that they're not experiencing any difficulties at this time. So thank you all for answering the polls. And now to get us started, Lori, would you be able to tell our audience more about the effects chemo can have on nutrition and the benefits of nutrition during chemo?
Chemotherapy is a treatment that affects the whole body. It can damage and kill both cancer cells and healthy cells. There are different kinds of chemotherapy depending on the type of cancer and how it's being treated. It can come in the form of IV or as a pill and may be taken every day, once a week, or every few weeks for different lengths of time. Different types of chemo list different potential side effects, and your oncologist will review them with you. Some of the most common side effects that can affect your ability to eat may include fatigue, change in normal bowel function, loss of appetite, change in taste and smell, sore mouth or throat, and nausea and vomiting. There are several benefits of good nutrition. First and foremost, it helps you to maintain your weight. As you start treatment, now is not a good time to start to set a weight loss goal. Good nutrition provides your body with fuel, which can help give you energy and strength. It will help you better tolerate side effects of treatment, such as fatigue, as well as help with bowel function. Good nutrition can boost your immune system to help you fight illness and infection and help your body heal and recover faster.
Great, thanks, Lori. Now, oftentimes I hear people on the community and also through our support programs saying how difficult eating can become for various reasons. What foods should patients be eating or even trying to eat during treatment?
Eating well means eating a variety of healthy foods, including fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Nutrition requirements increase during treatment, and at the same time, eating becomes more difficult. You want to make sure you're getting enough calories, including protein at every meal and snack, and making sure you're drinking enough fluids. And we're going to go into more detail in the next few slides. I've also added 2 great resources here for cancer patients and caregivers. The first one is the Canadian Cancer Society booklet, Eating Well When You Have Cancer, which can be downloaded from their website, or you may have seen it at the Cancer Center. The second book is the Essential Cancer Treatment Nutrition Guide and Cookbook by Jean Lamonte, who is a registered dietitian and cancer survivor, which can be ordered online or at your local bookstore. Both include helpful strategies for managing side effects of treatment. There are calculations to estimate the number of calories you should eat per day based on weight, height, age, and activity level, but it varies from person to person, as well as the type of cancer treatment you're receiving. The best way to know if you're getting enough calories is to weigh yourself regularly. If you have a scale at home, even if it's an old one, get on it. The number itself doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that number doesn't go down or up too much. If the number stays the same, it means that you're getting enough calories. If you find that your weight is going down, there are certain foods that can help add calories to your day. Some of these high-calorie foods include adding avocado to salads, sandwiches, or smoothies, adding butter, margarine, vegetable oil to soups, potatoes, vegetables, pasta, milk products including cheese, sour cream, yogurt, and nuts and seeds. And the booklet, Eating Well When You Have Cancer, has some excellent ideas to boost your calories. Protein requirements increase with cancer and cancer treatment. Protein helps to keep your immune system strong for the growth and repair of tissues and to prevent muscle breakdown. The 5-star protein choices are foods with higher amounts of protein per serving. They include meat, fish, poultry, milk and milk products, nuts and seeds, nut butter, eggs, tofu, soy beverage, legumes including beans, chickpeas, and lentils. All cells in our body need fluid to function, and more fluids are required if you're experiencing vomiting or diarrhea. Staying hydrated can also help ease symptoms including fatigue, constipation, and dry mouth. If you find it difficult to eat or you're losing weight, choose more fluids with protein and calories. These fluids include soups made from milk or cream, fish, poultry or legumes, milk, yogurt drinks, milkshakes, chocolate milk, hot chocolate, soy milk, smoothies, and nutritional supplements. I've included 2 examples here, Ensure and Boost, but you can find them in your local grocery store and in your drugstore. There's different generic brands on the market now.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Now, we would like to ask our audience another poll question, just to make sure that we have everyone on the line here. And we'd like to know, are you currently seeing a dietitian? So the answers that you'll see here below are, yes, I was referred to a dietitian by a healthcare professional. Yes, I sought out a dietitian. No, I'm not currently seeing a dietitian, but am interested in seeing one. No, I'm not interested in seeing a dietitian, or it does not apply to me. So again, with the other polls, you can just select the answer that best represents you, and then click Submit to submit your answers. We'll give you a few moments just to read over those and also to select the one that best suits you. Okay, so it looks like we do have some answers coming through again. So let's take a look and see if people are currently seeing a dietitian then. Okay, so it looks like we have, so over 33% are not currently seeing a dietitian but are interested in seeing one. 11% have been referred by a healthcare professional and are seeing one. Over 5.5%, they sought out a dietitian on their own. A few people said that they're not interested in seeing a dietitian, and also we had the majority were said that it doesn't apply to them. So now with knowing that, I would like to ask Lori, since eating well during treatments can become difficult for a lot of people, where do some of the supplements fit into nutrition?
So taking high doses of antioxidants is not recommended during treatment. Antioxidants include vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, and zinc. There have been numerous studies on antioxidants, but the evidence isn't strong either way. The concerns with taking antioxidants during treatment is that it could potentially reduce the effectiveness of treatment. It's important to let your oncology team know what supplements you're taking. At the end of the presentation, and as a separate document, you'll find some resources, including resources for evaluating supplements. If eating becomes difficult during treatment, your doctor or dietitian may recommend a multivitamin or mineral supplement. A simple blood test can check for these deficiencies. If you are eating well, supplements cannot replace all the nutrients and benefits of whole foods. Whole foods are complex, containing a variety of micronutrients our body needs, including essential fibers and phytochemicals. The word phytochemical is based on the Greek word phyto, meaning naturally occurring plant chemicals. Phytochemicals may help stimulate the immune system, repair damaged cells, and have possible disease-fighting properties. Phytochemicals serve as a natural protection for plants and gives fruits and vegetables their color and fragrance. The best way to provide your body with phytochemicals is to eat a balanced diet, including a variety of fruits and vegetables.
Now, I do want to ask you, Lori, we have been getting some questions sent through from our audience, and one of the common themes in these questions that we have been receiving tonight is about sugar and cancer. How does sugar affect cancer?
So questions around sugar are common. Before we get into the relationship between sugar and cancer, I thought I would briefly review how sugar is used in our body. Sugars and starches are dietary carbohydrates that break down to their simplest form, glucose, fructose, and galactose, to be used by all cells of the body. Glucose is the main source of energy for tissues and organs. Certain cells in the brain and red blood cells depend solely on glucose. Blood sugar levels are tightly regulated in our body. When we eat carbohydrates, our body releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin removes sugar from the blood. The sugar is used for immediate energy or stored for later. It's important to note that sugar alone does not speed up cancer growth. Excessive sugar intake, however, can increase cancer risk in two indirect ways. The first one, when blood sugar levels are not controlled, typically people with diabetes or who are insulin resistant. Over time, high blood sugar levels result in more insulin circulating, which can promote cell growth. The second, excessive sugar intake, similar to excessive fat and protein, is excessive calories, which results in weight gain. Excess weight is a risk factor for cancer and other chronic diseases. Bottom line on sugar. Small amounts of added sugar can be included as part of a healthy diet. My golden rule, everything in moderation. Look out for added sugars. They include table sugar, high fructose cornstarch, honey, maple syrup, agave, brown sugar, or generally any ingredient with the ending in OSE, so glucose, fructose, dextrose. For more gradual effects of blood sugars, pair sugar with protein and or healthy fats, and choose carbohydrates including vegetables, fruit, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds.
Thanks, Lori. Now, as you have mentioned, chemo and nutrition too can be so different for everyone. And one thing that many people who are undergoing chemo treatments are concerned about and are mentioning is their immune system. Do you have any tips for fighting infection and fighting illness during chemo treatment?
Chemotherapy may result in a weakened immune system, reducing your ability to fight infection and illness. Take extra care, wash your hands often, and keep kitchen surfaces, appliances, dishes, and utensils clean. Cook foods at proper temperature. You can use a food thermometer and keep hot foods at 60 degrees Celsius and cold foods below 4 degrees Celsius. Avoid raw or uncooked meat, eggs and fish, unpasteurized milk and juices, untreated well water, and uncooked sprouts. And when in doubt, throw it out. Don't eat foods that are out of date, spoiled, bruised, or damaged.
We mentioned earlier that we would be talking about some helpful nutrition tips, and I'm wondering if maybe you could elaborate on those a bit.
So we'll start with nutrition tips before chemo starts. You want to plan ahead. Freeze favorite meals into small portions in advance. Stock pantry with easy-to-eat meals and snacks, including pasta, crackers, cereal, nuts, nut butter, canned beans, dried fruit. Ask family and friends to help with groceries and food preparation. And speak to a dietitian. Everybody's getting a lot of information, I'm sure, from a lot of different sources, and I'm sure a lot of it's contradicting. A registered dietitian can help answer these questions and can help you with any nutrition-related concerns. Once chemo has started, on the day of chemo, eat a light meal before your appointment. Bring a snack for treatment with you. Eat regular meals and snacks throughout the day to maintain your weight, strength, and energy level. Include protein at every meal and snack. Make sure you're getting enough fluids. And even get out, even if it's just for a walk down the street or even just to get outside for 5-10 minutes. Physical activity can increase appetite, reduce fatigue, and manage stress. And once chemo ends, healthy tips to reduce the risk of reoccurrence include 5 to 10 servings of vegetable and fruit every day, include high fiber foods, include healthy fats, limit alcohol, limit red meat and processed meat, use less sugar and salt, be active, and maintain a healthy weight. So I've added, you'll see the next few slides, I've added some resources, and again, it's also a separate document that you can print out as well for your own information.
And all of those references and resources, they can be found in your resources widget at the bottom of your screen of the Webcast console. So we do have had a lot of questions coming through, and I really want to get time to get you the answers to all of your questions. So I want to let everyone know that if you haven't been submitting your questions throughout, please do so in the question widget. So, Lori, thank you for all of the information that you have given. We have quite a few questions that I'd love to get to, if that's all right with you.
Great.
Okay, so one of the first questions that we have received from one of our audience members, they shared that they're a cancer fighter with leukemia, and they ask how can they control their weight when taking chemo and cortisone side effects that are affecting both weight loss and weight gain.
So in the discussion that we just had, we did talk a lot about weight loss, and it is good to acknowledge that with some medications and with some treatments that there is potential for weight gain. And it's something that your oncologist will talk to you about, so you will be mindful that that could happen. It's important to know that you can be gaining weight. And again, same, you want to make sure that your weight is staying where it's at. So you don't want it to go up too much and you don't want it to go down too much. So really just trying to choose healthy foods that can keep you full, make sure you're getting the protein that will keep you full a little bit longer, and, you know, trying to stay away from some of those foods that may not be as healthy and may cause more weight gain.
Okay, great. And one of our other audience members, they ask, sort of along the lines of the food that they should be eating, they want to know if there's a difference in nutrition between organic and non-organic fruits and vegetables.
So organic is a question that does come up a lot, and people buy organic foods for different reasons. It could be for availability, price, texture, personal or environmental values. It's not a very easy or simple answer. There is some research that does show that nutritional values are the same for organic and conventionally grown vegetables and fruit. In some studies, it does show that phytochemicals may be higher in organic produce, and the reason for that is, as we talked about when I talked about phytochemicals, is organic farmers are selecting varieties that are more naturally pesticide resistant, which may increase the phytochemicals a little bit more in organic foods. Does it reduce the risk of cancer? There isn't really any solid evidence to support if organic foods are healthier, and it is unknown if it lowers the risk of cancer as well. All foods, just to keep in mind, all foods are, you just want to make sure whether it is organic or not organic, you want to make sure that you're rinsing fruits and vegetables, especially if you're eating them raw. You want to wash them thoroughly, and you want to make sure that meats are cooked properly.
Okay, great. That was one of the questions I was going to ask next. If organic and non-organic food should be handled differently, or should it be washed differently, or is water sufficient? One of our audience members has asked, if soaking fruits and vegetables in vinegar and water is sufficient, or if they need to be doing something else to get rid of anything that could be on the food.
I think making sure that it's rinsed thoroughly, whether it is organic or conventional grown vegetables, you want to make sure that they are washed. For one thing, if there are some, if it is conventional, any pesticides or anything like that, but also you never know who's touching fruits and vegetables in the grocery store, and, people coughing or whatever. There is different ways you can become sick from fruits and vegetables. So really making sure that you're rinsing them well. There is, for people who may potentially are looking at some organic foods, and the price of all fruits and vegetables today are expensive, they can look at, it's called the Dirty Dozen, and they're produce, it's I think based more in the States, but gives you some produce that have higher levels of pesticides. If you wanted to choose some fruits and vegetables that were higher in pesticides than others, and there's also what's called the Clean 15, which are the 15 fruits and vegetables that are considered less pesticide load in them.
Okay, great. And those are definitely some good things, I think, for everyone to look into with the Dirt Dozen and that Clean 15. So thank you for mentioning that. Another one of our audience members, they're asking about antioxidants. Is there anything you could tell us about if antioxidants are recommended or if they're not recommended for cancer patients?
So antioxidants in food are recommended. It's, you know, getting your variety of fruits and vegetables and in all colors and is great. And you do get your antioxidants from your fruits and vegetables. Where there is some concern about antioxidants is when patients are taking high doses of antioxidants as supplements. And it really is, the concern is that they don't know, there isn't a lot of evidence to show if either way, if it's helpful or not helpful. And the concern is that it could interfere with the effectiveness of treatment. So it really is recommended by your oncology team to not take high antioxidant supplements during treatment.
Okay. And now with that being said about antioxidants, you have mentioned yogurt and some milk beverages, and one of our viewers is asking about probiotics. If taking a probiotic pill during chemo would be sufficient for getting that probiotic.
So probiotics are good for the gut, and you can find probiotics in different foods. In yogurt, as you mentioned, there's also kefir, and they are good. People who are experiencing diarrhea, where they're, the good bacteria that we have in our gut is being flushed out from the diarrhea. Probiotics are good to have during the day, to include in your diet to help with that.
Okay. And is there any certain foods that people should be focusing on in regards to the gut, whether it is for diarrhea or even constipation?
So as we've talked about, it's important to make sure you're getting a balance of fruits and vegetables, whole grains. So making sure you're getting fiber, whole grain fiber is great for helping with bowel function, and fruits and vegetables. You want to make sure for diarrhea you're also drinking enough fluids, because that can cause constipation. And there's a lot of medications out there that cause constipation as well. And if you're finding that some of the foods, if you're incorporating your fiber and your fruits and your vegetables and making sure you're getting enough fluid, it's good to talk to your doctor about that. There's some great medications out there, and it's obviously an uncomfortable thing to have, and there's some great medications out there that can help with that too. So I encourage people to speak to their doctors about that.
Okay. Now, one of our other viewers, they're asking about soy, soy found in foods and also soy supplements, but they're asking specifically about soy and estrogen, if that's something that maybe you could speak a little bit about.
Sure. So I've had a lot of questions as well. That's a good question in terms of soy and with ER-positive breast cancer is usually where these questions come up. Early studies have shown that it isn't recommended to have soy when you have breast cancer, and the reason for that is the earlier studies were looking at rats and how rats break down what's called phytoestrogens, which are in soy products. And what they've now realized is that humans actually break down phytoestrogens differently than rats do. And it's shown that soy is a healthy food to eat after you've had a diagnosis. So the recommendation is 2 servings a day of soy, and a serving includes 1 cup of soy beverage, a half a cup of tofu, or a quarter of a cup of soy nuts. And it is recommended to avoid soy supplements. So when you're having a supplement, it is in a concentrated form, and there really isn't a lot of evidence to support if that is beneficial, similar the way it is when in food. People who are on tamoxifen, which is a medication that is prescribed for people who are ER-positive breast cancer, the studies have shown that there are no harmful interactions between soy and tamoxifen, and new research has come out to actually show that there is improvements in the action of tamoxifen, but that area is still a little, needs some more research. But right now, studies have shown that it is safe to include soy as part of a healthy diet.
Great. One of our viewers asks if there are any foods that can reduce nausea or foods that maybe they should be avoiding that could be contributing to nausea.
So some recommendations that we suggest in terms of people who are feeling nauseous, and I think for people just in general who aren't eating a lot, really try and stick to small, more frequent meals. So eating 6 to 8 meals a day instead of 3 larger meals. If it's bad taste, you want to do a mouth rinse. There's a baking soda rinse that your dietitian or doctors can suggest with water that can help if there's any taste that might be contributing to nausea or just loss of appetite. Bland foods are helpful, and foods that are more at cold or cool or room temperature instead of hot and spicy foods. If it's possible, if someone else can help with food preparation, so you're not in the same room when someone's heating up food, that can also help reduce nausea. Sometimes foods that are very sweet, fatty, greasy, or spicy can aggravate nausea. Another suggestion would be, I think people who don't have an appetite or are feeling nauseous, their focus really becomes food and how they need to eat and how it's important to eat, and that can become stressful. So, trying to get into an environment where you're distracted, listening to music, watching, eating with other people, and really taking your mind off eating and to, try and distract yourself with other things while you're eating. You want to make sure that you're eating when you feel your best. So really, if you feel hungrier in the morning and that's a good time for you to eat and less nausea, trying to eat a little bit more at that time. Sipping on or sucking on hard candies like peppermint, lemon drops can be helpful, and sipping flat tops, just some of those general other things that you hear about, when you're feeling nauseous can be helpful as well. And again, going back to if you are feeling nauseous and are vomiting, speak to your doctor. There's some great medications as well to help reduce that, so you can eat and keep your nutrition up.
Now, for some patients who, along with the nausea, they may be experiencing, as one of our viewers has written to us about, they're experiencing some chemo side effects in their mouth. They shared that theirs lasts for usually a couple weeks following their chemo, and it's a slightly burning sensation. So for people who are experiencing things in their mouths as a result of the chemo, whether it is the burning, maybe even the metallic taste, is there something that they can be doing to help with that in their nutrition?
So in terms of burning, you might want to stay away from, acidic foods or more salty foods, spicy foods. Really sticking to the bland type of foods might be more helpful if there is that burning. Also, again, rinsing with the baking soda and water can be helpful to just get rid of, that stuff and goop in your mouth. In terms of metallic tasting, so people have so many different, their side effects can be very different in terms of what they're tasting, whether If it is more metallic-y, try eating with plastic spoons and forks instead of, metal ones, as well as same as plates. Sticking to plastic, or that's always helpful. And sometimes canned foods might actually also heighten that taste of metallic. You can add seasoning to your food, spices, stuff that might not be as, a little bit of herbs, basil, oregano. If you're finding that things are tasting a little more sweet, you can always add a little pinch of salt to something. And the opposite, if things are tasting too salty, adding a pinch of salt, sugar can help with that as well. And adding lemon juice and other flavors to water might help with different tastes in your mouth. And sucking on sugar-free lemon drops and gum and mints can be helpful.
Okay, that's great. Now, one of our audience members is asking about ground ginger in regular green tea. They've heard that that's something that can benefit and help nausea. Is that something that you've heard of or that you would recommend?
Yes, ginger is a natural food that can help with nausea for sure. So ginger tea is good, and green tea as well, and they'll keep you hydrated.
Perfect. So that would definitely be helpful then for people who are needing some help with the nausea. One of our audience members is also asking about, in regards to supplements, asking if they can take a whey protein powder. They play sports and they want to still be able to while they're in treatment, and they want to know if they can still be taking that whey protein powder during chemo.
The whey protein powder is a protein that can help with to add protein to your day, because we did talk about the importance of increasing your protein and having protein at every meal. So adding protein, and there's different protein powders out there, and if you talk to your pharmacist, they can suggest some protein powders that you can add to smoothies or different soups and stuff that can include more protein into your diet.
Okay. One of our viewers, they're asking a question. They're sending it through while you were talking about preparing food earlier, and they ask, how important is it to have separate chopping boards for vegetables and meat for hygiene, or is it not really needed if they clean them well enough?
That's a good question. I would say as long as if you can separate them, I think that would be beneficial. Just to ensure, because depending on the type of cutting boards you have, there might be, if it's not cleaned properly, it might still be harboring some bacteria. But as long as you're washing them, really well with hot water and soap, that should be sufficient. You also want to make sure when you are, cooking, that there isn't that cross-contamination. So really, separating the foods, that whether it's raw eggs or raw meat, really separating them out and making sure that there isn't any cross-contamination with fresh fruits and vegetables and raw meats and stuff.
Okay. Now, another viewer that we have on the webcast this evening is asking about if there's anything that they can eat to prevent hair loss, which is something they've heard about, and they want to know if that's something that you may be able to speak about as well.
You know what? I actually I'm not able to answer those questions. That's a good question. It's something that I will definitely look up and can post that or email that out. No problem.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great, and something that we could post also on our online community. We could post that there for our members and anyone who's interested to see there. So thank you. Now we can keep moving along to other questions. Like I said, we have been getting a ton, and I want to let all of our audience members know that you can continue to submit them, and I will be asking them to Lori. So, Lori, one of our viewers is asking about if they should be eating directly before chemo, or if it's something they shouldn't do right before they start their chemo.
So eating a small snack before starting chemo is beneficial. There are different chemotherapy out there. So, people who are going in for the day and spending 8 hours sitting and having chemotherapy, definitely it's something that should be a snack, and bringing snacks with you to keep your energy up, and it is a long day. So I would definitely suggest a snack before chemotherapy, unless otherwise, if the doctor or pharmacist has said that you shouldn't, if it is in a pill form and it isn't recommended, then obviously I would go with their recommendation.
Okay. Now, if one of our audience members is asking about back to the organic foods, asking if they might actually be slightly more dangerous than non-organic, just because they don't have they don't have the protective effect of pesticides when on chemo. Is that something that people should be concerned about?
So I think there isn't really a lot of evidence to support if organic or conventional are safer or healthier. So it's really about people's personal preferences on what they decide they want to do. In terms of, a lot of the nutrition value, a lot of the research does show that most of the nutrition values are the same. And people really do it is a personal choice in terms of, choosing organic versus not organic. For foods, for chicken, where they are not routinely fed antibiotics, there is concerns that there might be, more issues with bacterial contamination, but that's something that isn't an issue as long as chicken is being cooked properly. And if you, again, use a food thermometer, it's the best way to make sure that food is cooked at the temperature. And the food thermometers they have now are excellent. They've got, chicken is a certain temperature, and you check it, that before you eat it, you just check the temperature to make sure it's cooked at the right temperature before eating it. And once you do that, whether it is organic or conventional, they are both safe.
Okay, great. So that's definitely, I think, helpful just to make that distinction between the two. And one of our audience members is asking about having eaten healthy, and they're experiencing some bowel issues, diarrhea that's caused by their meds. Is there any certain foods they should be eating to help with diarrhea aside from just the liquids?
For sure. So there's some helpful tips to help with diarrhea. You want to peel skin and membranes and take out seeds and strings of fruits and vegetables. So too much fiber when you've got diarrhea can create more diarrhea. So you want to stick, again, to small, more frequent meals throughout the day, snacking on lower fiber foods, so salt crackers, pretzels, bananas, things that might not go through you in terms of higher fiber foods. You want to make sure you're drinking enough fluids, and most of the fluids should be non-caffeinated. Sometimes, or generally, high sugar foods, so sports drinks, if they're high in sugar, can actually cause more diarrhea. So you want to if you're going to use sport drinks or juices, you want to dilute it so it's not as much sugar in it. And sometimes you might find that high-fat, greasy foods and spicy foods can make diarrhea worse. So you want to make sure that you try and stay away from that and see if that works. And sometimes diarrhea can become worse as well if with milk products. And that might be a medication thing. It might be through treatment. You can try low lactose milk and other milk products that that might be better, like yogurt is sometimes, it's not the same lactose concerns with yogurt.
Okay, and will alcohol affect chemotherapy?
So with alcohol, there is a lot of conflicting information. In some cases, they say that it is protective in some certain conditions and can increase the risk of other diseases. So the recommendations for alcohol is 1 drink a day for women and 2 drinks for men to prevent and reduce the risk of heart disease. When it comes to certain types of cancer, alcohol can increase the risk of certain types of cancer. It's also good to speak to your doctor. It may not be compatible with certain treatments, so you want to speak to your doctor about that as well.
Okay. And one of our audience members, Lori, asks, can BRAT, the banana, rice, applesauce, toast diet, be helpful for diarrhea?
Yes, that is a good recommendation for diarrhea. So it really is about lower fiber foods that can help reduce diarrhea. And again, and I know I keep saying it, but there's a lot of these things, speak to your doctor about as well. And if it is from treatment and medication, there are certain medications that can also help with that, because it can, cause dehydration, it can cause weight loss, and makes you more fatigued, and it's more difficult to get through your day when you've got diarrhea as well. So do speak to your doctor about that if it's becoming a concern, for sure.
Okay. And one of our viewers is also asking if you might be able to suggest a few superfoods that patients should really absolutely be eating during chemo. What would those be?
So I would suggest, again, a balanced diet, making sure you're getting, a variety of fruits and vegetables. There you're getting your all your phytochemicals. I would suggest including carbohydrates, high fiber carbohydrates, like whole grain breads and couscous and quinoa and brown rice. They're great, high fiber foods, and making sure you're getting protein. So really it's about variety and making sure you're getting a little bit of everything and a balance to get all the nutrients and minerals you need and to maintain your weight. And healthy, including in that are, the healthy fats, monounsaturated fats and polysaturated fats. And so, olive oil, canola oil, a handful of nuts is a great snack that's got protein and healthy nuts or healthy fats in it. Those kind of things to add to your diet are really helpful as well.
Okay, great. Now we have talked a lot about the different types of foods that people should be focusing on, and one of our viewers writes that they had 30 radiation treatments to their jaw area, and they want to know what they can do to for nutrition or just to help with an extremely dry mouth and a lack of taste.
So for dry mouth and lack of taste is challenging, and I would suggest for, no taste is just keep trying things. Every day will be different. Trying soft foods, making sure again it's, not cold temperatures or too hot, and making sure it's, room temperature, cool. Making sure you're rinsing a lot. I think that's really key, is to rinse a lot. The doctors, there's the baking soda rinses, but there's also medicated mouthwashes out there. You want to stay away from any sort of mouthwash that has an alcohol base to it, and there are ones that are prescribed that can help with dry mouth or pain. Yeah, I would really suggest, making sure your mouth is clean and rinsing, even if it's, 5, 6, 7 times a day, really, really rinsing. And soft foods are key. So whether it's nutrition supplements like the Boost or Ensure, or, homemade smoothies, soups that are, higher in protein, so soft meats or soft legumes, cream soups. Those are also good ways to get nutrition as well in there when it's difficult to eat.
Okay. And some of those mouth rinses that you mentioned, is that something that they'd have to get prescribed by a doctor, or is that something they could get over the counter through a pharmacist?
So some of them are prescribed by the doctor, but there is a solution, a mouth rinse solution, and it's 1 quart of water and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And that can help just rinse everything out and just get everything, so that the taste is not as bad. And really just trying foods again. Sometimes I find patients that I've spoken to, they've tried one thing and they're really in the mood for it, and it's just not something that tastes the way it used to. And it's really about trying it again, or maybe modifying it. So if bread's not good, maybe trying something like a tortilla, which isn't as, spongy or the same consistency. So just modifying foods a little bit is sometimes helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are some really great suggestions. Now, Lori, we have talked a fair amount about diarrhea as a side effect and coping with that as well. And one of our viewers asks how to deal with constipation as a side effect of chemo treatment.
So with constipation, you want to include high fiber foods, and you want to do that slowly. There's 2 different kinds of fiber. There's insoluble fiber, which moves food waste through your body quickly, and soluble fiber, which binds the water in your stool to make it soft. So you want to just try and include a little bit at a time to make sure it's with water. You want to make sure you're getting enough fluids to help everything move its way through. So some whole grains in, high fiber cereals, quinoa, brown rice, barley. These are great side dishes. Anything that says whole grain, stone grain, whole grain, ground, whole wheat flour. Steel cut oats are a great way to introduce more fiber in there as well. So starting to introduce things slowly and including, again, making sure you're getting enough fluids. And if it's really uncomfortable, really, speaking to your doctor, there's stool softeners out there that can help as well. As well as, some natural laxative foods like prune juice or prunes, dried fruit. They're great to help with constipation as well.
Okay. Now, Lori, should chemo patients be consulting with a nutritionist during their treatment as well? One of our audience members asks if that's something that you would recommend.
So a nutritionist in addition to a dietitian, or is that the question?
That's what I think. Yes.
So I can give a little bit of information on the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist. So a dietitian is a regulated profession where it's a 4-year degree, usually a Bachelor of Applied Science or a Bachelor of Science. It also includes an internship or a master's degree and writing a board exam, and we are part of a college of dietetics. So that's and dietitians are work with evidence-based research, a nutritionist it's not a regulated profession, and there are different, there's naturopaths and there's nutritionists, and there is different philosophies, and it's something that, you know, we can work together, and we can, and we do, but there are some differences in terms of how we practice.
Mm-hmm. And should patients be letting their dietitians and healthcare providers know if they are in touch with other, such as nutritionists and naturopaths as well?
Absolutely. I think, you know, keeping the conversation open is the best way to just have an idea of where people, you know, where people are, what people believe and what they're practicing. And it really is, during treatment, the concern is just the effectiveness of how the treatment is. So, you know, that's where the concern is. And to know what people are taking during treatment, I think is really important.
Mm. Now, we do have time for one more question, Lori. And I want to ask one of our viewers' questions, which is, in your opinion, how powerful is a healthy diet in your treatment of cancer?
I would say that a healthy diet is generally a good way to live. A lot of the recommendations are cancer preventative suggestions. So again, incorporating healthy fruits or healthy meals, including fruits and vegetables, and, you know, lean protein, carbs, and limiting alcohol, sugar, and salt. So it's really about a balance, and it really is incorporated as part of the healthy diet. So it includes, you know, getting enough sleep and being physically active and maintaining your weight. I think is the whole package of living a healthy life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you, Lori. Now, this is all the time that we have today for our questions, but before we end the webcast, Lori, I wanted to give you a few minutes to give some parting words to our audience and to wrap up today's discussion.
So, thank you so much for your time and interest. I'd like to also thank the Canadian Cancer Society, Nicole and the team, for having me today. And finally, for everyone going through this journey, I wish you nothing but strength and wellness.
Thank you so much, Lori, and thank you for spending the time with us today. I'm sure that our audience has really found it as informative as I have, and I know with all the questions coming through, there's definitely the interest, and I'm so glad that you were able to just spend the time with us and answer all of them. And I'd also like to thank our audience for your participation in today's webcast. As a reminder, if you know someone who you think might benefit from the webcast tonight, but maybe they weren't able to join us, an on-demand version will be available on CancerConnection.ca in the coming days. And if there's questions that you didn't have answered, we'll aspire to get back to you in the coming days as well. And you can always visit us on our online community or call our Cancer Information Service at the number listed on your screen. Our next webcast will be held on Tuesday, April the 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern, and will be on clinical trials. Please keep an eye on CancerConnection.ca for more information. Until next time, thank you for joining us for this webcast, Chemotherapy and Nutrition, trying to maintain your nutrition while undergoing chemotherapy.